as this process happens. So everyone, we are live. Welcome to our Unblinded Real Raw sales role play. And like today we have dead animals in the back. We have Atlantic Ocean and the Bay in the back. We have like books that are in 4 languages. We have like people that are here with cool microphones, and we're here with some energy once again with some amazing rock stars. Mr. Callaghy, before Vivian introduces these fine folk, what is present for you?
Immense gratitude for how this has come together and how we've been doing this every single day with 6, 7 incredible people. And we have just remarkable contributors like David Gonzalez. We have the amazing folks from Callaghy Law, referring people, like everywhere. There's immense gratitude for what's happening. So with that said, Rando, how are you today, by the way? You didn't jump in the Atlantic Ocean yet today at 54.9 degrees. You didn't make it in yet, did you?
I did it. My phone was not waterproof. I unfortunately was not on the phone as Sean was jumping into the cold ocean, 54 degrees, punching the water, screaming yes. As I look left and right, he is the only lunatic out there. And this is like a regular routine for Sean. So I am present to a good time, high energy, and your hair looks great, by the way. I get secret access. I see like the process, and you're looking great, sir.
You're ridiculous. Vivian, let's leave this ridiculous man behind for now. And Vivian, what is happening with these incredible rock stars?
Oh my God, I'm loving that we have like a lot of estrogen. This is great. This is like, woohoo! And the Triple D, Dr. Dan Dory, is like outnumbered, and I'm loving that.
Amazing.
Did
you ever see Kill Bill?
Yes.
Okay, so a question I always have though is, right, because you could have like high Zeus energy in the feminine, right? So do we have like Lucy Liu and Kill Bill today? Or do we have sort of like Glenn Close in the natural energy? We're about to find out. So let's drop in.
Well, I love that. We have Allison Wojtowecz. She's a professional actor who's all about fitness, a nationally certified ACE personal trainer and Precision Nutrition Levels 1 and 2 graduate. She's a CEO at Flabs to Fitness and co-founder of Dollar Keto Club. She manages the social PR for PaleoFX, the largest ancestral health gathering in the world, for anybody who's been asleep at the wheel for the last, I don't know. And she believes that you can make your gym anywhere, like in that compound story that I discovered.
Allison, drop the mic on that. Where are you calling in from today, Allison?
Hi, I am here in Round Rock, Texas, which is just north of Austin.
So we are like 10 out of 11 days now. We've had somebody from beautiful Texas. So I think David Gonzalez might have something to do with that. Is that a fair guess?
Yes, he sent, as some other people already mentioned, he sent some vague messages out yesterday, and a lot of us said yes. So here we are.
Extraordinary. So thanks so much, Allison. And hey, what drives you to be so interested in people's health and fitness and vibrancy and all the things you're up to in the world?
One thing she didn't mention is stand-up comedy. And I think that ties into all of the stuff that I do. I think all of us have the right to feel our best and smile as much as possible. Laughter is my absolute favorite thing. So I think when the body is working for us, we feel better and then we get to laugh more. So that's kind of what drives me. I just want to see more smiles in the world.
Yeah. So this is like your home. Like, so feel free to drop in any way you like. And what we do on the first like half an hour or so of the Real Raw is this is kind of like a lunch meeting / like get together with friends. We're just getting to know each other. Like everybody's getting edified, acknowledged, and validated, and we connect. And then we go into the fun and gamification after all of us kind of drop in. So yeah, anything you'd like to make fun of me about or anybody about, feel free. Yes. So
you don't want to give me that green light.
Green light.
Green light. Green light is away. We have fun here. So go ahead. As long as it's all like mutuality of love and green lights everywhere, we're all good. So drop in, Vivian, please.
We have Jemimah Ashleigh, and she's in Australia. It's like 3:30 in the morning. Okay, maybe 5, but it's early. And she's a game changer entrepreneur, which shows because she's here with us. She's all about positioning and is a rapid growth expert. She's the #1 authority in massive exposure and building your profile. Australia's top 10 female entrepreneurs, a woman to watch in 2019, and I'd say 2020 because we're watching you right now. And she's also co-hosting the Business Experiment podcast, a #3 Australian business podcast.
Wow. And it's pronounced Jemimah, correct?
It is. Really easy way to remember. Aunt Jemimah.
Oh,
very easy way to remember.
Well, Jemimah, thank you, coming all the way from Australia. And like, what's present for you and how you're feeling about things?
Well, it's first thing in the morning. It's been an interesting roller coaster so far. Really enjoying that. No, it is 5 a.m. here. It's very early, but just really grateful to be here. This is the amazing thing with this time, is how much technology can connect us, even though it is the future. I'm calling you from Friday morning. It's I'm really fortunate to be able to connect with everyone, regardless of where we are in the world.
Extraordinary. And how are things in the future? Like, what's happening on Friday?
It's pretty dark, I'll be honest. It's cold, it's winter. There's not much going on yet, but I will report back if there's much else going on.
Okay. So before we drop in with the judges, Allison and Jemimah, what the Real Raw is also about is what yes you're seeking in the world. We're here together to like unleash the superpower of integrity-based human influence. We believe that influencers influence influencers to merge ecosystems, ... to make the world an even greater place. So it's like influence is a superpower. And then what do you do with it to make these incredible things happen? We'll drop in a little bit more to demonstrate the exponentiality mathematically of influence and money and how these things kind of operate. So while we're kind of introducing the judges, a thought you might be having is, for Allison and Jemimah, is what's a yes that you're seeking in the world? Like a real yes. Maybe it's something in contribution for a cause you care about. Maybe it's to sell a program. Maybe it's to merge ecosystems, AKA create a strategic partnership. Maybe it's something for a book deal, an entertainment deal. Whatever it is, that's what we're going to role play out today, right? We're going to demonstrate influence through that prism. So just think about it. And Vivian will end up being, Vivian, are you our role player today? Or do we have another special guest?
I think we have Jacqueline Franchetti back as the
Jacqueline is back in the house. So we'll get back to Jacqueline in a minute. But Jacqueline will be the person you're role playing with, who, by the way, is an absolute straight up rock star like yourselves. But first, let's think about the judges. Who do we have?
We have Sheila Mack, and she's a lifestyle reboot specialist, author of Bootstraps and Bra Straps. I love that title. She's a speaker, consultant, CEO of the Sheila Mack Show, and she believes that you got to give procrastination the boot and stay flexible on plans and laser focused on the outcomes.
Awesome. Sheila, how are you?
That's right. I am doing wonderful. I'm in Vegas, Lake Las Vegas right now. So very happy that I made the move before all this went down and enjoying the universal pause, finding all the gifts. Yes.
I had
Here is my book for all of you. It is done. So it is a big book with lots of resources. So yeah.
So Sheila, we connected through the Tony Robbins ecosystem, and it was an absolute pleasure. And we've had a lot of different encounters. And we also did an event at Puneet's place out in Beverly Hills, and legendary mastermind. And you did such a beautiful job out there. It was wonderful getting to know you through that and many other prisms. So welcome and thanks for being here.
All right. So good to be here. Thank you.
So Vivian?
We also have Dr. Dan Dory, minimally invasive spine procedure specialist, NJ, a fellowship trained physician. He specializes in sports medicine and interventional procedures for the neck, back, and joint pain and neurological disorders.
So Dr. Dan, how the heck did you get roped into this incredible place with all these amazing women? Like, how are you? What's cooking?
Thank you for you guys to invite me. I think this is all your fault to get me into this. I resist you for a long time, but nobody can resist you, and you finally did it, man.
All
so Hala Jaludi
You're irresistible, Sean.
Irresistible, Sean. Yeah, I think that you need a show for that. You know, it was tough. You know, actually, I'm very happy to be here. I'm so glad to know Sean, and his level of energy is kind of like contagious. It's more than I think COVID-19. We should have a Sean 2020, something like that. It's so contagious that everybody gonna get this level of energy, and somehow you need to give it back to society. And I think that's the way I'm gonna do it.
Brother, thank you. You're a friend, and I am inspired by your being here, because most doctors are a little bit uncomfortable in this dynamic. So the surgical world also needs integrity-based human influence. Thank you for being here, and so looking forward to your feedback for these amazing people. So thanks, Dr. Dan. And last, and certainly not least, Vivian.
With beautiful red hair, I see Claire Winslow, the CEO and founder of Best Practice Media, a boutique social media marketing agency headquartered in Austin and Denver, of which they currently have over 50 clients in 22 different industries. Her agency brought the Global Conference Social Media Week to Austin for the first time in 2017.
Claire, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Amazing. And what in the heck do you think you got roped into doing here?
You know what? I don't know too much. I know I'm judging something that I do have a lot of experience with, which is sales. I have a very traditional CEO role, finally, after 5 years of being in the weeds at my agency. So the two things that I do, well, I used to do client, happy hours and client success and meetings and things like that, but we don't really do those anymore. Given COVID. So the two things I do as a CEO are put out fires and biz dev. So I'm still at this point, at least for the next couple of months, our salesperson. Every client that comes through our agency talks to me first. So this is kind of my bread and butter, and I'm happy to help.
Extraordinary. So before I introduce Jacqueline, let me drop in for a second. So Fernando, who introduced you earlier, who you met earlier, is an incredible apprentice in our program, become a lead trainer. He has worked incredibly diligently on acceleration. But Allison, let me drop in with you for a second, because I love introducing Fernando this way. It's not his favorite way to be introduced. But Allison, since you like a sense of humor, what would you think of this?
Oh, God.
So Fernando, did you hear Fernando say, "Oh God, Allison"?
Oh, totally. That's why I laughed.
Yeah. So Fernando, right? I bring him to Business Mastery with Tony Robbins, and I've had the unique privilege at the last, I think 6 now, Tony Robbins events of speaking on stage, including a Tony Robbins birthday. And I've done some things in there and contribution in that space. I don't get paid to do it, but I believe in Tony's work very, very deeply, and so I've been honored and privileged to have that type of relationship with Tony and Sage. So Fernando comes with me. And in Tony world, being respectful, like giving, contributing, sharing is really important, like in that space. So I invite Fernando, and Tony does this exercise where it's usually either a man or a woman that's had a relationship issue, and they'd like to connect with somebody, and they feel sad, and they want to he's going to build up their amazing self-confidence again. And they're going to go up on stage, they're going to pick some people out of the audience, and they're going to decide who they want to go out on a date with, right? So Fernando, a woman goes up, and Fernando gets picked. So Fernando's strolling up to the stage. Now, problem number 1 for Fernando is that he had a girlfriend at the time. Problem number 2 for Fernando is that when he got up on Tony Robbins' stage, he started taking pictures and selfies of himself. So he was there to be in service of this woman, building up her confidence, and he is taking pictures, and Tony Robbins is staring at him what's up? And Tony Robbins so amazingly demonstrated his superpower of influence, and influenced this fine, amazing woman to not ask Fernando out on a date. And when Fernando was removed from stage, not being asked out on a date, Tony Robbins, to thunderous applause, raised his 2 hands up in the air in triumph. So it was one of the most remarkable moments of my life, as I was hiding under the chair because Fernando was my guest. Right now, what is incredible about this, though, is that it wasn't who Fernando was at all. Fernando is one of the most integrity-filled, hardworking, diligent people that built $1 million company when he was 21 years old. Loves people, loves humanity at the highest level. Nobody I've ever met has worked harder and more consistently at learning the integrity-based human influence formula that we're demonstrating and talking about on this show every day than Fernando. So Fernando, just dropping in for yourself, what was the breakthrough distinction from that experience that led to more acceleration? I don't think it was more. I think it was remarkably more acceleration since that moment.
There's such an infinite list. What I would say one core, and thank you, Mr. Callagy, for your words, was that excitement blinded me. So there's, a couple reasons why we're called Unblinded. And one of them is because we help people see what they don't seeing about, having more fun and excitement in their lives and business. And what I realized in that moment, even though I had all the good intentions on the planet, my actions led to misunderstanding and not properly portraying who I am in the world. So that was a lesson in itself. But the core lesson was that excitement, the emotion of excitement, blinded me to proper judgment, doing what was right and what I love, which was serving people. And I didn't serve in that moment. So that is what our formula showcases. Even though we focus on influence and other things, it's a formula for life and dynamics. And what the takeaway I got was that excitement was blinding, and that I will never do that again. And I am Fernando Valencia, and I've been sober from selfies for 6 months since that moment. And I still do have a girlfriend who was super accepting when Sean brought me up on stage on our event in front of 1,500 people. And my girlfriend didn't really know all the dynamics of the story. And Sean shared it with her and everyone else, and life has never been the same.
So that is a beautiful thing. Allison, any thoughts on this entire adventure?
It just sounds like your superpower is not getting asked on dates.
Great. I'll take it.
Allison is like at least yellow lighted on her way to green. Thank you, Allison. And finally, we have Jacqueline Franchetti. Vivian, do you want to drop in on Jacqueline and I'll amplify?
I know that she has been through hell and back, and I know that her cause and her mission is life is for people to feel found after the loss of a beautiful baby. And I know that that's very difficult, but you would never see that behind that beautiful smile. And I know that Sean will take it from here.
Yeah, I met Jacqueline when she took over the room with love, care, courage, passion, fire, sensitivity, and even some fun energy somehow in light of one of the most horrific tragedy I could ever imagine, the loss of her daughter at the hands of her ex-husband. And Jacqueline is changing the world to protect children in divorce situations who are in physical danger and emotional danger. And Allison is also, and Jacqueline is also incredible in the space of performance, influence, and that's her main business when she's not changing laws and changing the world. Jacqueline, thank you so much for being here. I know, and everybody for being here. This is so generous of all of you. Jacqueline, how are you today, dropping in, and any updates you'd like to share on what you're up to in the world?
Yeah, thank you, first of all, Sean, for those beautiful words. And I thank you. They're wonderful. And thank you, Vivian. And, I'm always up to more. And one of the things you started mentioning, Sean, earlier is ecosystem mergers. And one of the things that I'm working on right now, for those of you who don't know the full story, my beautiful daughter, her name was Kira. She was 28 months old when her father took her life in a murder-suicide as a form of revenge against me. And since then, I've been on a path to help better protect children who are victims and survivors of domestic violence. And one of the new things that happened this week, by the way, is that I have entered into an ecosystem merger with Callagee Law, a man you know, Sean, well, Brian McCann, as well as another domestic violence group called Sanctuary for Families, which operates out of New York City. And in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic, there's another pandemic that's been out there for quite some time, and that's domestic violence. And right now in New York City, there are children who are starving. Schools are closed. That's where the many children from domestic violence used to get their lunches, who are of lower income. Food pantries are closed. So we have formed together, not for a strategic partnership, but for a strategic effort to help victims and survivors right now. So we have, and I'm gonna drop it in the chat if that's okay, we're doing a fundraiser. And for just $50, and the numbers go up, you can actually help to feed a family for a month who's on food stamps and give them the supplemental money that they need to be able to survive. Living through family violence, and I'm a survivor of it, it is so incredibly tough. And now to not be able to work, not be able to put food on your table, people are just being devastated right now. So if anyone is out there who can chime in with just a little bit, we would be forever thankful. And we have made sure that this money is going directly to help feed families who are victims right now.
Jacqueline, I had no idea that was present. I had no idea that you were going to share that. And again, Jacqueline won Business Mastery 2018 in the Tony Robbins world. And you've been a dear friend and so many beautiful causes. But my Callagee Christian Foundation, I'd be happy to kick that off with $5,000. So thank
Thank
you.
you, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. By the way, for those that are new and don't know me, that was not staged. Jacqueline and I didn't talk about that. I had no idea what was going to happen. We never stage anything. Fernando had no idea what was going to happen again. So we just roll here. Raw, real. Thank you, Jacqueline, for being here. And it's time now to drop in on like what we're here to do. And what we're here to do with these two amazingly gifted women, Allison and Jemimah, is to see what yes they're up to in the world. And the way the show works is there's 2 rounds. There's a 3-minute round in the beginning, a 3-minute round after a 1 minute, after a brief break. And it's a cut point of one conversation. So what it looks like, Allison and Jemimah, is 3 minutes with Jacqueline, building emotional rapport in the first round, and putting something at stake related to the yes she'll be seeking in the second round. A minute, a break where she's like, oh, I just got to take a quick phone call. We can continue in a couple of minutes. It's not setting up another appointment. It's just one conversation. All she's doing in the role play dynamic is taking a break in the phone call. So we can bifurcate the emotional rapport building and putting something at stake, get the judges to score up on that and comment. And the second round is you delivering your heroic, unique identity and or your USP, however you share that, about your product or service that you're seeking the yes about, and then actually moving into the yes. So round 1 is simply about, does Jacqueline see her future in you? How much, as Oprah said, are you having Jacqueline feel seen, heard, and as if what she says, not as if, and that what she says matters to you? The very words that Oprah said of why she held the microphone for 30,000 people. That's round 1 with something at stake. Round 2, you're solving that pain, adding massive value, and moving towards a yes, right? So Allison, Jemimah is the furthest away right now in Australia. So I'm going to put either a 1 or a 2 under the table in a virtual coin toss. So Jemimah, do you think I have a 1 or a 2 under the table?
I think you have a 2.
I do have a 2. Amazing. So would you like to go first in round 1? And then you can retain your choice in round 2. Or if you go second in the first round, then Allison will pick in the second round.
Oh, I'll give it to Allison and then we can go fair. We'll split it.
Okay. So Allison, checking in. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just clarifying a little bit. So basically I'm treating this as if Jacqueline is a client that I'm trying to work with.
Right. I'll play whoever you want me to play. I don't need to be me. If you want me to be me, I'll be me. If you want me to be somebody else, no problem.
So yeah, so Allison, who would you like? You could have Jacqueline be anybody in the world that's related to your yes. And we often say for fun, just as a check-in, hey, what's the biggest yes you're seeking in the world right now? It doesn't have to be that. Could be that. It could be a simple yes, or it could be a medium yes. So any thoughts on who, Allison, you'd like Jacqueline to be?
I would love you to be someone interested in hiring me as your personal trainer. And to give a little insight on my target client, she is a woman who is just as badass as yourself, but when it comes to taking care of her physical health, she is not confident enough to get herself to the gym.
Awesome. And is this, Allison, first time you're meeting, or is it like a scheduled call? Like how
scheduled call.
Fantastic. Okay. Allison, do you have any other questions?
I think we'll just go with how this round seems to go.
And listen, thank you for your vulnerability and your courage, for real, Allison, Jemimah. Like, this is here for fun, for real, raw, like exposing, opening, learning, creating together. So your courage, your skill sets are gonna, serve.
It's 12:30.
Learn. Yeah, amazing. So final judges. Allison is not seeking a yes in this first round. All that Allison is being assessed on is how well she's creating emotional rapport, opening the listening of Jacqueline, and how she's putting something at stake that would be relevant to her ultimate yes. So, Jacqueline, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Are you ready? All right. 3 minutes. Jacqueline, please say hello and take us in.
Ring, ring, ring. Hello.
Hi, Jacqueline. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Oh my gosh, I have so much going on. I have a call coming in about 3 minutes. It has just been one of those days. I have my daughter at the pediatrician. Whew.
Yeah,
and a bazillion other things going on.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you sticking to your schedule with this. That's actually one thing that I love about women like you, is that you know how to stick to your stuff. Which leads me to ask, actually, like, why did you feel the need to seek me out as your trainer?
David Gonzalez sent me this Facebook message and said I had to get on the phone with you. So I figured, all right, you know what? He's an Austin guy. I got to trust him. So let's do it.
Perfect. So clearly, if you're looking for a trainer, you have some goals in mind. Can you elaborate on those a little bit more? I'd love to know why you feel like you need the support.
Yeah, I'm starting to gain the COVID plus 19 right now. So, you know, and, you know, feeling a little bit heavier in my chair. And quite frankly, the thing is, I mean, I have 2 charities that I run. I have a for-profit business. I have a little girl. I just don't have a lot. I mean, I barely have enough time to go home, to go to the supermarket, bring home everything, Clorox it, and then try to make dinner on top of all of it.
So you're giving me a list of all of these different things that you have to deal with every day. How does your physical health seem to manifest in those? Why do you think that it's not in the place that you can currently show up fully in those?
Time. I mean, you know, a lot of my workouts used to be just walking to stores and doing things like that. And now I have to limit that because of the pandemic. So, and trying to do everything in a heightened time frame.
Gotcha. And where would you ideally be if this wasn't a problem? If you lost the COVID-19 that you feel like you've gained,
I'd be back in a size 4. So that'd be kind of good.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
I'd be back in a size 4, which would be kind of good.
But I'm trying to dig a little deeper here. Like, how does it feel emotionally for you to not be in that size 4?
You know, yeah, that's, it's, you know, I want to be able to live a long life for my daughter. And that's one of the things, you know, and plus, you know, I know when I have more energy when I'm working out and doing things too.
Okay, cool. So my thoughts right now sounds like it seems like you are feeling overwhelmed and stressed by your current situation. The weight is just adding to all of that. And you feel like once you lose that weight, you'll live a longer life, you'll have more energy, and you can show up more fully throughout the day.
Yeah. I'm going to have to hop in 30 seconds for the next call, by the way.
Okay. No, I appreciate your time. So my main question for you too is, ideal world, what does a good routine look like for you?
You know, in terms of my daily schedule or the workout?
Both. Treat the
Okay.
workout like it's already part of your daily schedule.
You know, I'd have to try to figure out when I can do something while my daughter's has care around. So it'd probably have to be sometime in the business hours, which is also a little difficult given the demands on my schedule. But we'd have to figure it out sometime between like 7 and 6 type of time frame.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I think that the emotional shift for you is going to be reminding yourself that this physical time for yourself, you know, the 2-3 times a week that we might be working together, it's just as important as the rest of the things in your schedule. So the first thing I want you to think about is to just start reminding yourself that blocking out those 2 or 3 hours is something that is going to lead to that increased energy, that size 4, and that prolonged life that you'll get to spend with your daughter.
Awesome. All right. I got to hop with the call, but I think we're going to talk in a few more minutes.
Totally. Sounds good.
Awesome. Excellent work, Allison. Allison, very impressive. Allison was dropping in. Actually say that. Jacqueline, if you had one word to say, like we'll go one word first, then we'll go one sentence. One word on that encounter with Allison. Like
Engaging.
Yeah. And one sentence?
I felt like you really wanted to know me and really wanted to work with me and partner with me.
Yeah. So Allison, what I thought was unique and extraordinary because, well, we just do this. And occasionally, like, who's this dude and what are you talking about? My background for 23 years, once I realized that influence is a relevant superpower, and I was in the process of going blind. I am blind at this point. I was horrified that influence mattered. And I had, when I didn't get drafted to play professional baseball, having been a Division I college 4-year starter, and my vision having disrupted that, and having gone to law school, graduated, and got my dream job, I realized that influence is a superpower. And I began to study it because I wanted to build and grow my business and control my money, my time freedom, and the magic of my life. As the first person in my family to go to college, $100,000 in debt, starting my own law firm on a credit card. And it was remarkable to me as I began to study integrity-based influence and create distinctions within it, what was possible. So like that's where we are. Since I have a 125-person law firm, collected almost $500 million from my medical provider clients, including somebody like Dr. Dan. And in addition, I have 2 top 100 national jury verdicts as one of only 2 attorneys in the United States between 2014 and 16 out of 1.2 million attorneys. I share all of that, totally irrelevant, has nothing to do with being a lawyer, has to do with the acquiring the power of influence with integrity. So that's like who I am, what I study, have revamped jury verdict consulting processes, do all sorts of different things, and am the founder of the Unblinded movement, which is what we do here every day, is put influence in play as a superpower. So that's a little context for my feedback, hopefully. What I found to be extraordinary, Allison, was, and it's these micro distinctions that can change everything. The first go around, Jacqueline gave you a surface answer of losing the COVID-15. And then you, in a beautiful rapport-filled way, asked your question again. You demanded, lovingly, congruently, that we go deeper, and then opened up an access point that was tremendous, and you hit a very different level of emotional rapport. There's 3 levels as we teach it of emotional rapport: surface, real, and emotional. If Allison wasn't so committed to repeating her question, rephrasing it so it didn't sound repetitive, it didn't sound demanding, but that opened up the access point for creating the connection with Jacqueline that was very, very real and tangible. Allison also did a beautiful job of doing exactly what we talked about, having no prep, not watched even a prep video for this, of putting something at stake. And not only did Allison put something at stake, she connected what was at stake to deep emotion. So I want to acknowledge that, Allison, that was a uniquely fantastic job for anybody coming on this, let alone somebody who has no context for what we're doing here. So really, really beautiful job.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
How did it feel for you?
It definitely, the 3-minute timer is, I'm used to that in stand-up, not in client calls. So that felt like a little added pressure because no one ever books a call with a health coach or a trainer because they want to lose the weight. That's their surface level thing. So like that conversation is one that I'm used to having where it's like, okay, yeah, you want to lose the weight, but is it because you want to live longer for your kid? Is it because you want to find a spouse? Is it because you think it'll affect your job? Like there's always a deeper rooted thing that people think is tied to the physical change that comes from hiring a trainer. And once you can get to that, you can figure out kind of the psychology of how that person is and how you can best serve them as their trainer and, find the motivation to help them push through when the scale isn't moving the way they want it to. Because there's definitely weeks where you just plateau for no reason. And that's when people want to quit. So as long as there's a deeper emotional tie to it, that's how you can get them to push through and continue working.
And the dynamic that beautifully stated, and the dynamic of integrity-based influence, it isn't that Allison convinced Jacqueline of anything. All she did was work with Jacqueline to build enough opening and vulnerability with integrity to get to the truth. And the truth in that role play was there was something very meaningful at stake that was creating pain. And Allison can solve that pain. So that's exactly what integrity-based human influence is all about, is opening, listening, truthfully getting to access. So really, really nicely done. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Jemimah, how are you?
Yeah, great. That was, Allison, that was amazing. That was really, really interesting and beautiful to watch.
Now, Jemimah, how does one get to, and I mean this with all my heart, your success level? So it's extraordinary. Australia is a big place, and you are somebody who is recognized as a wildly successful entrepreneur. Would you mind sharing a bit about that?
Mostly the successes come from coffee. That has really helped. And also just really, really solid networking and knowing the right people. That's the actual answer for that. And just, I've always followed the 10,000 hour rule, is that it's not going to come easy, and I'm not going to be good at something straight away. And you just have to learn to be disciplined when you don't feel like working. If I only worked when I felt like I should be working, I wouldn't get anything done ever.
Can I ask why?
Yeah, absolutely. So my driving factor is that the World Health Organization released some statistics last year that 97% of female-led startups will fail in the first 5 years. And to me, that's just unacceptable. We're failing at twice the rate of our male counterparts. Guys, you're not out of the woods either. It's 95% for you. And, there's a lot of reasons for that, but the The big thing that I see is that there are, and I know we have a lot of females on this call, which is amazing, and so many incredible thought leaders here, is that we're just not positioning ourselves as the experts that we are. Women don't do a very good job of selling themselves. That's where our big issue is. We've been told to work hard, sit in the background and not promote ourselves. Otherwise we come across as too aggressive or too selly or any of those things. And for me, it's about how do we make sure women are getting their message out and getting heard. So for me, it's very much female empowerment, but in similar to Allison, if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. So I only want to work with great people, and I only want it to be like, I want to talk with you. If I get that client and I'm looking at the phone going, I don't want to answer this, I obviously won't want to be working with that person.
Well, thank you again. Virtual fist bump. Thank you very much. And I share this as a father of two, being blessed with two wonderful daughters who are 16 and 18. My daughter, unfortunately, with this Corona insanity, not having her last year of track and having her graduation and prom disrupted, all those things, you are standing in the world for something that I couldn't agree more is at least a top 10, if not a top 5 challenge for us to deal with, number one. Number two, I want to amplify what Jemimah was saying, is that having done the Real Raw now, on the episodes where we have more women, they go much faster. And in the episodes we have more men, they take a lot longer. And that's because I found that men are speaking much more. And so as Jemimah was saying, it's such a beautiful vantage point. I mean, I'm just experiencing it here, that there's this conditioning dynamic that exists, obviously, that, as Jemimah said, that women are being conditioned in so many ways to speak less, and men are being encouraged and conditioned to speak more. You know, I was a political science undergrad major at Columbia University, had gender studies class, I took many classes, that was one of 3 males with 97 females in the room. And the work and the comments you're making, Jemimah, are received, are present here, and extraordinary. So thank you for representing that dynamic and contributing to what we're doing here.
Thank you. It's great to hear that message is being heard, and I think it's really shifting. And I think in the next 5 years, we're really going to see we're already starting to see that shift now, women stepping into their power a little bit more with all the movements that have happened previously. And with just even the amazing women on this call listening to what you're all doing, this is so important and so valuable, and your message needs to be heard. And isn't that the point of all of this anyway? But let's do it in a fun way so it doesn't feel like you're just selling to people, because that's the worst thing you can do.
Amen. So with that said, you want to show how, like, let people see how it's done and drop in?
Sure, let's do it. I'm in.
Yeah. And who would you like Jacqueline to be?
So Jacqueline, I'm going to let you decide what your story is here, but how about we do you're somebody that will have a scheduled call in. You have an important message, but you're having some trouble getting some traction on that.
Okay.
Extraordinary.
All right.
All right. So
All right.
Yeah, let's drop in. Jacqueline, take us in, please.
Sure. All right. Let me just get up the timer. Okay. Ring, ring, ringing. Hello.
Hi, Jacqueline. How are you?
Hey, Jemimah. Thanks so much for giving me some of your time. I appreciate it. I've heard wonderful things from you from David.
So funny. I've heard the exact same thing back about you.
He
knows everyone, doesn't he?
I think so. Yeah. From Australia to California to Texas, he gets around.
He's a good human, isn't he? People should write songs about that guy. So thank you for making this call. I really appreciate it. I've had a little bit of a read of your website of what you're up to, but why don't you tell me in your own words? Tell me a bit about what you're doing, and particularly around your message.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you may know from David, I've actually just started in the past few months my own company, and it's called Message to Momentum. Mm-hmm. We go after executives, Fortune 1000 companies. We help them break through the clutter each and every time that they speak. And I do that through presentation training, media training, and corporate resiliency training. And it is to make sure that they don't sound like just 1 in a million that's out there, but the 1 in a million you want to work with.
Yeah, great. So how long have you been doing that for?
I've been doing it for almost 25 years now.
Wow, that's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how, what's changed now? Obviously, you know, as you know about what I do, you want to amplify your message a little bit more and get a little bit more seen.
Right.
And that's why we're having this conversation. But what's changed?
Well, now I'm solopreneur doing this. So, you know, certainly need to set myself apart from the other people that are in this space, and people need to recognize that I'm on my own now and not as part of another organization. So that's one thing. And to really raise the visibility around it, especially in light of the pandemic where I can't go out and meet with people.
Yeah, great. How are you going at the moment with getting interviewed on podcasts or being in media or being featured in magazines, TV, that sort of thing?
So I am interviewed almost weekly by media, but that's in regard to my charity. Yeah. So in regard to my for-profit business, I do need to start looking more at that.
Yeah, so it's about, do you see this as more of a profile building for Jacqueline as a person, or are you seeing more that you want to shine the light on the business, or both?
To start doing some more on the business element of it too. Yes.
So obviously, knowing what I know about you, female empowerment and, you know, is really, really important to you. Do you think, what sort of message have you got out there for women at the moment?
So I haven't made it gender specific just yet, but perhaps I should start looking more at doing that too, because as you know, there are incredible women who are going through the ranks, and, you know, especially as they get higher in the top, they don't get the feedback from a lot of people. And if they do get feedback, it's very general, like, you did a good job. Yeah. And, you know, so as I help other women, and I'm going to have to hop because one of those women is going to call me in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
You know, how can we make sure that their message is getting heard, especially when in a lot of Fortune 1000 companies, they're working with a lot of men. So
yeah, absolutely. And just before we jump off, what do you love about your job?
Every time that I work with somebody, I know that they have not only gotten better, but I've seen the monkey come off their back and the freedom come about, and that they're excited to do something that they may have been scared of before.
Well, I definitely think that what you're doing is incredibly valuable. And I think that we need to, you know, this is so important what you're talking about here, and about, you know, this idea of helping people get that monkey off their back, getting more visibility, and absolutely being seen. I know you have to jump onto this call, but do you want to give me a call back when you get a spare minute and get an opportunity?
Yeah, let's talk some more. Absolutely.
That'd be great. Thank you. I'll call you back.
Okay.
So, Jemimah, how did that feel for you?
Good. Was very conscious of the time though, and I hated that because I was just like, oh, how long have I got? Don't ask ask more questions. Yeah, that was good. It was really good.
The time constraint's a challenge. You know, there's a gamification element to it for sure. But you know, I think your congruence, your eloquence, your presence just resonate. Emotional, energetic transference is such a critical aspect to integrity-based influence. We talk about the 4 energies: the fun energy, aspirational energy, goddess energy, Zeus energy. Goddess and Zeus energy have no correlation to men and women. They're simply energies. Men and women need goddess and Zeus energy in variance. So there was some fun drop in. There was some like looseness there. There was also an aspirational dynamic in terms of what do you love. There was a heart-centeredness that was certainly present. And for sure, Jemimah carries a lot of Zeus energy, a lot of presence, a lot of high certainty and congruence. So very, very nice job. And I'll drop in after the judges on a couple of other points, if that would be okay with everybody. But yeah, Jacqueline, how was that for you? If you had one word, what would you share?
It was, I just felt like I was in good hands, and almost like I was getting a hug through the computer, that like, hey, I got you. I know what this is going on, and I know which situation you're in. And I really appreciated that. And I think the conversation.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think Allison and Jemimah were both so conversational. You know, sometimes when people step into a role of influencing or selling, they become somebody different, which is out of integrity. It's inauthentic. They are playing a role. These, you know, amazing entrepreneurial women step so into just like themselves. And they were present, and they were deeply listening, and they were fully congruent and conversational. So beautiful job. So that's what I say. The judges might have a very different perspective. Who knows? So let's kick it off with Sheila. Sheila, what say you? Let's go with maybe 20, 30 seconds of feedback on what you thought worked, 20, 30 seconds on maybe what was a growth opportunity, starting with Allison, and then a score, and then we'll drop it on Jemimah.
Okay, so for Allison, I really loved that at a certain point in the conversation, it was a conversation which was beautiful, was that you started to give her the ideas of, okay, you could do 3 times a week, and what would that look like? So you were already like giving her an idea of what it would feel like to work with you. And so that to me was like, okay, you know, and it was reasonable, something she could do. So you're already starting to bring her to that side of the equation with that idea planted. So I really love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any growth opportunity for Allison that you saw?
I think maybe, I think you did a really good job with the emotion. There might have been a bigger why, but there was only 3 minutes. So I think you did really well with it.
Awesome. And what'd you have?
Like maybe getting pardon me?
I'm sorry to interrupt.
What was that, Sean?
I apologize, Sheila, for interrupting. There's a little delay in the feedback.
Oh,
please.
Yeah, so maybe just getting a little bit more on the emotional side of it, because it's such an emotional thing. But, you know, getting to the point of showing her, okay, and this is what working with me is going to be like 3 days a week. Can you give yourself those times like any other appointment? So it was very good.
Awesome. And what'd you have for a score for Allison on a 1 to 10?
I would say 9.
Awesome. And how about for Jemimah?
And Jemimah, okay, so I thought like this, you do this all day. And it was really well done, again, with the conversation and helping to say, okay, this is what do you want? What are you looking for? I've looked at the website, you've done the homework, and you show that you're involved with already, like doing some research before you talk to your clients, and then really caring. Like, you know, you gave her a hug through the computer, and even I felt that. So that was really important, because there's so many people out there that, you know, like Sean says, they take your money, but they have no integrity behind it. And then you've just paid for another program and lost all this money when you want to build your brand and you don't have that much money to play with. So I think that was done really well. And I would say that's a 9.5.
Beautiful. Excellent. Dr. Dan, thank you, Sheila. Dr. Dan, what do you have for Allison? First of all, how are you enjoying the Real Raw?
Oh, it's great. It's completely out of my words. So what you guys say is completely alien to me. You know, in the medical world, we are not kind of chatty people. We are like go toward our chats are 90% about patient conditions. So you can imagine the personal relationship and creating building a relationship is kind of a struggle for lots of physicians. And I think that we need both of these ladies to come to the medical world. Please welcome. We need you guys to also guide us how to do this.
Dan, I think I speak for Allison and myself. We're in. We'll be there. Just let us know where. Sounds fun.
So I think that's a good idea.
Awesome. So what do you have, Dr. Dan?
Yeah. So Allison, I mean, I'm a sports medicine physician, so I'm kind of having a relationship with athletes and, you know, with coach and personal trainers. So I think that Allison approach to be a personal trainer who wants to sell the product was amazing. I really appreciate that the level of the relationship building and knowing what she wants to sell and knowing how to approach it. It was amazing. I cannot see that very often, especially in athlete trainers. They usually come and try to force you to do the exercise or going to these programs without saying that why you want to go under layers of it. So this is a great approach, and I really love that. Time constraint is definitely a problem. I mean, time management is a problem for everybody. in anything. But even with that aspect, she did great job. She really nailed everything that she wants to say, and that's amazing. In manner of engagement of the client, she was superb. She was absolutely engaging the other person in such a way that other person really think that it will nicely taken care of, and that's kind of the skills of social selling, in my opinion. So it's social selling, in my opinion, is something that everybody needs to work on it. No matter you are a doctor or you are a marketer or anybody, you need to know how to socially selling, not just think about, I'm going to have a client, so I need to take care of this client, but also getting in the levels of engagement that client think that you're having a social meeting, not a sell meeting. So that was perfect. I think I don't know how to deduct anything from Allison.
So what would you
give it 10.
Oh,
10. Yeah,
that is absolutely. The fourth ever 10 given on the Real Raw, and we are, boy oh boy, to participants, we're probably up to about 60 to 70 participants. So that's a beautiful job. Congratulations, Allison.
So now how I can talk about Jemimah. I mean, first of all, what she's doing by empowering women, 50% of population of the world, can change world. I mean, that's it. I mean, this is what it can take the humanity to the next level of development. I think that's going to be another round of human being capable of things. Imagine 50% of women in the world be as capable, not capable, don't get me wrong, be as self-confident to go to the level that the counterparts are. So right now everything is heavy on me, and I mean I cannot give anything. But it's a couple of things that I think that time management in business of Jemimah is a little different from what Allison did. So I cannot compare these two. Jemimah needs more time to get engaged, and the 3 minutes is basically nothing for her. So she needs to get to know that. So that's really, I think that intentionally she jumped from relationship building to get to the core of the issue. So that I'm sure that if she has enough time, she would get to that point easily, and she will build that relationship. I'm sure that 5 a.m. morning in Australia also is not helping with that aspect too. I mean, who wants to socialize 5 a.m. in the morning? So I don't want. So again, given the fact that she really had a critical thinking when she was talking to the person, she has a nice storytelling. She has, again, engagement. She has the ability to prospect what the client wants and bring that prospect to the idea of the sell. That would be great. I mean, if she was to sell me, for example, if she come to me and she wants to sell me medication, and she'll, I want to represent in this drug company, and you want to prescribe that, most of the people are doing this aspect. They really bring you to the level of them, and then they start discussing the matter.
Yeah. So
I think this is great.
Awesome. So what'd you have for score?
Jemimah, I need to just build a relationship for me is very important. Even I will not cut the engagement time. If I don't care about engagement time, I will at least put 30-40% of my time to build a relationship, because that will take you to the next level. Awesome. Because of that only purpose, I give you a 9.
A 9. Thank you very much, Dr. Dan. Thank you for that awesome feedback. And finally, last and certainly not least, Claire, what did you have for this first round?
Yeah, first of all, 3 minutes had me shaking for them, because my sales calls are typically about 60 minutes. I can't imagine having to pull this off. My favorite sales tactic is to let people talk and mostly listen. Obviously, if you do that in 3 minutes, you're going to lose this competition because you're not going to say anything. So having to sort of rush through and get to the point is definitely a gamified version of this. So for Allison, I wrote down that I loved how she sort of asked her to visualize how she would feel you know, when she's successful, like on the other side of this. I think that's like an old copywriting trick that works in sales really well as well. You know, what not only like you mentioned at first what size you'd be, but then, well, how's that going to feel like, you know, to be that size? Will, you know, what is it going to be like to be on the other side of this dream? And I think that's a really good sort of tactic for getting someone to sort of connect you, the person who's making the sale, with sort of that experience. So I love that. And then also, you know, repeating things that she said and also asking for clarification, I think, you know, shows that you're really listening. The only growth opportunity I have is maybe ending the call with compliments rather than beginning with them, since you have not met her yet. So, you know, I know it is a typical sales tactic to kind of start off by saying like, women like you know, but before you've sort of gotten into the 3 minutes thing, it can be hard to assume that, you know, so if I were to hear that, I'd go like, well, okay, you know, you don't really know me, but if you say it at the end of 3 minutes, I might be convinced otherwise. So whether it's true or not.
So what'd you have for a score, Claire?
I was going to do a 9.5.
Wow. These are like, this is an extraordinary day. Like we do this every day, extraordinary judges, but extraordinary participants. So thank you, Claire. And how about for Jemimah?
Similar things for Jemimah, which is that she did a very similar, you know, sort of female intuitive listening thing that Allison did, which was to repeat what Jacqueline said and to also ask for clarification. You know, I think sometimes people can be a lot sort of afraid to ask for clarification, like just sort of like listen and then go like, cool, got it, and then move on to the next thing. But, you know, if I'm being sold, it really matters for me. You know, if people want to say, I want to be really clear and make sure that I know what you mean when you say it. And then a very similar sort of growth opportunity, just a minutia in speaking, which is, you know, you focused on that question, like, what do you love about what you do? Which I love. I love the sentiment of it. I think it might be something that I hear a lot on a sales call. So maybe there's just another way to say, you know, just because that's sort of a question I've heard a lot in the sales process, maybe there's a more genuine way to say that. That's basically asking, what do you love about what you do? But in a new way. So I would give Jemimah a 9.
Beautiful. What an amazing first round. And we're ready for round 2. So in the second round, Allison, it is your choice if you would like to go first or second.
I'm fine with flopping back and forth. I can go first again.
Okay. Yeah. Way to step in and go. So in this second round, now that emotional rapport has been built, there's something at stake. Now the question is, who are you and or your services, and how does Jacqueline see her future in you and your services to solve for this pain and get to the yes? Already, any questions on that, Allison?
No, so it's just basically closing at like the end of the call. It's the end of my 30-minute to 60-minute thing, yes, where it's like, here's how we can do this. So
if I would be out of integrity if I didn't drop in a quick point, if that would be okay. We say form, you don't have to say anything, obviously, right? Like, you're here, thank you. Our language is agreement formation. Because here's an interesting access for everybody. And I understand everybody in the world says closing, but I was able to, early on in my career, I was doing training in a very large insurance company. And I asked this question. Because I was saying, like, who's a great closer in this room? Who's a great closer? And a few hands shot up and people were really proud. And I said this, I said, if I told you that I was going to close your mom, how would you feel? Right? So, so what we like to share is that language has vibration. And it's all conditioned patterns, right? All this language, closing, hooking, pitching. So one of the first disruptions that I always share when somebody will say, hey, okay, Sean, like, what's your pitch? And I say it with humility, and I say it as congruently as possible and respectfully, is like, listen, would it be okay if I just shared this, that I'm not here to pitch you? Like, I don't pitch. I'm here to share. I'm here to educate on what I'm up to in the world, but most important, I'm here to learn what you need and if what I have is valuable. That's all I'm here to do. So that creates to me, a shift immediately in the default no. Like, the neurology that exists is there's a default no. So as soon as anything feels sales engaging, And I think as soon as we step into the vibration of sales energy, the default no rises. And there's only two reasons people say no. They have fear of failure, fear of rejection, but they're like rooted there. And so the work that we talk about, integrity-based influence, is starting with ourselves and our approach psychologically, and then dropping in on the 4 steps, 10 indispensable elements for energy of integrity-based human influence. So forgive me for dropping in on that. Obviously, nothing is like meant disrespectfully, correctively, other than to share an opportunity to see how you can try that on, what it feels like to never again, for ourselves. You are clearly an integrity-based influencer. Just seeing how, trying that idea on of not pitching, hooking, closing, not that we're even doing it, but even using the language. I don't know. How does that feel?
I realize now how I should have rephrased that. I meant just closing of the conversation, not necessarily closing of the sale, but I appreciate that too.
Yeah, I get it. It wasn't like that. Just is, we kind of go through that a lot here. And part of our mission is to really, and obviously people are going to watch this, lots of people, is to encourage people to maybe think a little bit differently about the dynamic of selling. So thank you for, that wasn't for you, it was for everybody. And thank you for giving me that access point.
Totally. Yeah, I think we're ready to go whenever you're ready, Jacqueline.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
So drop on in. Yeah.
All right. Ready? And ring, 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 ring.
Hello,
hey, Allison.
Jacqueline. Welcome back. I'm glad you could call me back.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's one of those crazy days again.
I totally get it. So picking back up from where we were, I just wanted to kind of get a much clearer image on how you think I can support you in this. Because right now you're telling me you have some weight you don't like. You're not feeling the energy that you want. You're afraid that your lifespan might be affected by it. Those are big things. Yeah. But I also know that losing this weight is probably going to help you achieve a lot of those goals in life that you want to achieve, being there for your daughter, all of those different things. And so my number one question for you is, what did you not like about past programs you have done?
They need to be more flexible, because I can't always say that at 10 a.m. I'm going to be there, because my schedule shifts so much. I have to travel for work. Mm-hmm. So it needs to have flexibility built into it. And there are days that I can dedicate 60 minutes to it. There's some days I can only give 15 minutes to it. So can you help me structure something where it can also move with the demands on my time?
Absolutely. Yeah. So then I guess that kind of answers the question of, what do you like? Are there any things that you really freaking like? Like, what types of movement excite you?
I'm a former triathlete, by the way. And I used to do half iron distances. So I love endurance work, by the way. I do have a bad ankle injury, which means that I have to alternate. So I can't go running, for example, 5 days a week, because it takes too much of a beating on my ankle. So I have to nurse that. I can still do things on it, but I have to vary the workouts as a result.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So one really cool thing that I love about working with people mostly virtually is that the schedule is very movable. So because these sessions are going to be via Zoom, if you have a last minute thing pop up, just make sure you let me know and we can reschedule accordingly. Also included when I work with people is supplemental workouts that aren't necessarily with me. They're going to be shorter ones for those busier days for you. So that gives you the time flexibility that you're looking for. And I never want to tell anyone to run 5 times a week. I personally would not run 5 times a week. I would hate that. So I'm never going to make you do something like that. I will say, as far as creating a program for you, we're going to focus on the weight loss, like you said you'd like. We're going to do some support things that will help you improve that ankle health. And therefore you can go running when you want, because it sounds like you really love that. And we're going to do a lot of interval things. So we can really hone in on strengthening those ankles, losing the weight, getting your energy back up, because exercise is also a stressor. We don't talk about that a lot. We don't want it to be a stressor that's ruining your work life, right? We want to feel energized and good. Right. Question for you on the endurance exercise. What drew you to that? Was there a feeling afterwards, like after accomplishing a workout? Was there some sort of achievement that you really liked about that? I'm curious about why you were drawn to triathlons.
I was supposed to do one and done, and then I got hooked. And which I think is the problem for many triathletes, because we end up in that awful hurdle. And I unfortunately have another work call that's coming in, so I'm going to have to hop in another minute. But you know, I do like, obviously, the benefits of exercise.
Totally. And since you are a former triathlete, is there any draw for you if you lose this weight to possibly start competing again?
You know, it's not a main thing, but it'd be something great to do in a little while, just because of the time constraints, and I don't have them right now, but maybe further down the line. Yeah.
Totally. All right. Well, that's a long-term goal, but for now, I think there are some really easy habit change things that we can do that integrate right into your life. And this first week, it's going to basically just look like, I want you to record your food intake, your exercise habits as they are, so I can get a really clear picture and make a custom plan for you, and we can be ready to start working together next week if you so choose to come hang out with me for a little bit.
All right, sounds great. I'm gonna hop, but let's talk about it.
Awesome. I'll send you a follow-up email. I hope your call goes well.
Thanks.
Excellent job, Allison. How was that for you?
That one felt a little rockier than the first one because training definitely is super individual. So someone like her would need a hyper individualized plan, but I think overall it still felt very conversational for me. Yeah.
I think awesome job for sure. Drop in a little bit on that. I think too, maybe the framing of, you know, a bit of an irresistible offer that's, you know, integrity-based offer around that. And I understand it's 3 minutes. Might help accelerate, but you, like, I have no doubt, like you bring such a presence and a certainty about you that I can't imagine, like, what are the rate of people that say yes to you? Has to be extraordinary. Like,
it's pretty high.
I can't imagine, like, who's saying no, right? Like, really. And that's the power of influence at a high level, and then scaling it from there. So beautiful job, Allison. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jemimah, you ready to drop in?
Yes, sure. I don't know if I can follow that. I'm not really confident.
You got it.
Now, having watched this, I was like, oh goodness.
No,
I want to start training with Allison though. Did anyone else get that feeling?
I know, right?
No, Allison, let's rock and roll, right? So, so are you ready, Jemimah?
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it. Oh, my voice just broke. Excuse me. Started to go through puberty. This is good.
So Jacqueline, say hello, please, and take us in.
Absolutely. All right. Ring, ring, ring. Hi, Jemimah. Sorry about
Jacqueline. No, that's okay. It happens all the time. We are very busy women. I get this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But I'm thrilled to keep talking with you.
Great. Well, I know your time is really limited, so let's just jump straight back in. So just following up from our conversation earlier, you're really about building your profile of Jacqueline alongside your business profile as well.
Right. Right.
Great. And you're looking to get more podcast opportunities, interview more locations, get more speaking engagements, and get more media presence.
Yep. Yep.
Do you prefer speaking sort of doing podcasts, blogs, or do you prefer kind of more writing, which is more your style, or a combination of both?
I would speak and do a podcast any day over writing.
You know, I exactly feel this. I feel like I come across much better in interview and writing. Like, it's just such a solitary thing, right?
Mm-hmm. The time where I can, within 5 minutes, prepare for a presentation. If I'm writing, it's going to take me an hour plus. So
yeah,
time-wise, it's much...
The only benefit is you sometimes get to wear sweatpants, I guess, while you're doing it. That's good, but can't do that on stage. Okay, so as you know, my motivator for being in business is to decrease the 97% of women who are failing in business in the first 5 years, and to feature incredible women like yourself and help get them more media attention and more exposure. You know, my goal is to make sure for you that we get you into the right media outlets, to get you on the right TV shows and be seen by the right influencers, really just to help amplify what you're already naturally doing, because isn't that the point of all of this, right?
Right.
So I do this in sort of two kind of ways. The first is I have a mass exposure program, which we create a 12-month program for you and blueprint for you with a guarantee of 10 different major media outlets featuring you. And this will at least get you in front of 1,000 ideal clients every month.
Wow.
And the other is I have an online program. Based on what we've discussed about today, I would definitely recommend the mass exposure program. You still get access to the online stuff, but I think because you want that rapid growth really, really quickly, I think that would be a better fit for you. And the other thing I just want to say is that we do 100% money back guarantee in the first 3 months. If you're like, girl, I like you and everything, but this isn't working and I'm not getting what I want. from this, we will give you your money back. What I can also tell you though, is that I've worked with over 500 clients, and I've thankfully never had to give it that refund.
Wow.
And I really don't want you to be the first.
How have things changed when you're working with people because of COVID? What are you doing differently as a result?
My clients have actually seen an increase in the amount of media exposure, because we're actually getting a little bit of media burnout at the moment. We're getting really over COVID. And it's just like, now we're starting to see that our businesses sitting in the background can still tick away and still get massive exposure. We are still on a 24-hour media cycle. We are still being able to be seen on social media and get our messaging out there. And at the moment, we're seeing changes in buyer behavior, where people thankfully are now starting to get a little bit more online with the tech stuff, and understanding how to use Zoom better, and understanding how to do podcasts. And I don't know about you, but have you seen how many people are starting podcasts at the moment?
Right. Right. And how many clients are you working with right now? Would I be lost in the shuffle, or?
Oh no, absolutely not. So one of the things I guarantee is that you and I will have a face-to-face every week. Or fortnight, really depends on which one is better for you, but we try to get at least some face-to-face time in every week. At the moment on our books, we have 73 clients, and some of those are a mix of like monthly people, and also, and I'm happy to put you in touch with some of those if you'd like to see what we're up to with them and get some real sort of time feedback about the things that have changed for them and what kind of media stuff that they're starting to see and what results they're getting.
Awesome. Well, I do have that other call coming in, so I'm going to have to hop again, but I love this. This is great.
Great. Let me send you an email to follow up, and we'll make another time to chat.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jemimah. Awesome. How did that feel?
I hate agreement formation stuff because that was very quick to get into that. But yeah, it felt good. Felt really comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, I think extraordinary. The offer was irresistible. It was so congruently presented. Just the opportunity. It was wonderful. When you started dropping in the number of clients never before gave a refund, that was just extraordinary storytelling, social proofing. One thing that popped for me that I think is an amazing asset in your toolbox is your ranking as one of the top women entrepreneurs in Australia. And to me, like, there's such a beautiful way to present that with humility, but factually, perhaps like sort of like this, which might be, and listen, I say this humbly, but factually, in addition to all the other things dropping in, that I am the one of the top X rated women entrepreneurs in Australia. And you know what? There's so many amazing people. It's not about me. It's about that there's a strategy to have the world see you. And so few people know that strategy. Yeah, I have great skill and I am fairly amazing, but so are so many like yourself. Following that strategy, that's what we do for you. I know that was like just popped for me, that you have such a credibility piece with that. And it might be a beautiful demonstration as well for your greatness. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I love that. I immediately was like, I need to write this down. Wait, it's being recorded. I can probably just watch it back.
Yeah. I mean, it's extraordinary, right? And it allows you to step in humbly and share that. So it was like sitting there for me. So thank you so much. Let's hear what the judges have to say. I know we ran long. Sorry, guys. So let's begin this time in reverse order. Claire, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Took a little bit of notes. So starting with Allison, I love you have just from a vocal perspective, I know you have acting experience, so you come across very genuinely when you sell, vocally, which I just noted in the way that you laugh when she laughs, and just kind of have that very easy flow to your sale. I noticed, especially at the end in the closing of the call, not the closing of the sale, that you were really good at anticipating her concerns. So, a lot of people find this, and here's what we do differently. I think that's a really compelling thing. It's probably pretty easy to anticipate what any woman's concerns are going to be about hiring a trainer. So already kind of knowing those and being able to bring them up kind of before she does, I thought was a really good thing. You were funny. And then finally, something, I don't know if this, assuming this would be a Zoom call that you guys would have where you would be staring at her, something that you do really well is nod. And I think that gives her a feeling and me a feeling that you're listening and empathizing with her. So I have nothing to build on, so I give you a 10 for that.
Boom, look at this.
I thought it was great. I know you thought it was rocky, but I thought it was awesome. So
fantastic. Yeah. And
then Jemimah, very similar. You were also humorous. I loved when you said that you had never given anyone their money back, and you certainly didn't want her to be the first. And you come across also very human. Not to be biased towards women, but my friend Molly Mahoney has this thing where she calls people salesy weirdos. And when I think of all my salesy weirdo sort of experiences, they tend to be more men just in general. I think women are really good at not being salesy weirdos just kind of naturally. The only one feedback I have is just the phrase 100% money back guarantee. To me, that like triggers like, oh yeah, I'm being sold right now. So I bet there's some sort of way, again, semantics are my thing, some sort of way to convey that idea without saying 100% money back guarantee. Maybe, hey, if this isn't working and you let me know, we have this policy where we would gladly give you your money back. And that still conveys that sentiment without that thing that triggers me to go, oh yeah, she's trying to close me. So that's it. And so I give you 9. I thought y'all killed it, especially with 3 minutes at a time. Jacqueline is like the meanest, fastest, I gotta go every time you talk to her. I have another call. I'm like, whoa, so I know it's for the purpose of this thing, but man, it's hard to get a sale out in 6 total minutes. So good job, y'all.
And Claire, that was a beautiful micro distinction access on the semantics of language and the triggering. So that was really beautiful. Thank you.
Good, thanks.
Yeah. Hey, Sheila, what do you got?
Okay, so for Allison, I think it was wonderful. And the thing that came to me is maybe looking for objections or being able to overcome objections that could show up a little bit more, if that makes any sense. And then presenting the offer, because you didn't have the full time, so a little bit more detail on what that portion is, if that makes sense. But it was very well done.
Awesome. And a score?
So okay, a number, I would say a 9.
Outstanding.
Very good.
Okay. And for Jemimah?
And then for Jacqueline, I would say that
for Jemimah, correct, Sheila?
Jemimah, sorry.
You can rate me too.
Jemimah,
hey, go for it.
I think that, I know I got confused. So for Jemimah, I would say that was very thorough, and you went over everything. I wanted to understand more about the results. Like for me, if I was buying the program, I'd be like, exactly what results am I going to get? You got into it a little bit, but I would want a little bit more detail on what I was going to get for the results, And other than that, though, I think you went over it like perfect. And I would say a 9.5.
Beautiful. These are like remarkably phenomenal jobs today. Thank you. Dr. Dan, how are you?
I really impressed by the capabilities of 2 ladies. I mean, really, they are amazing.
Dr. Dan, we have about, just for running along, about 30 seconds of feedback for each.
Sure. I will say in 7 words for Allison: coachable, adaptable, sociable, responsible, goal-oriented, empathic, and passionate.
Ooh, I love
10
that.
for Allison.
I love
and for Jemimah, again, very good referral skills, very good referral selling, very good knowledge of policy. As a physician myself, I never guarantee anything. So that was a negative point for me. I would not guarantee 100% or any percent anything. I think it's a good point to kind of change that way to, if you try to sell your point. I don't like guarantee. And the guarantee is like kind of like a negative feedback for me as a physician. So
Doc, even if the guarantee from Jemimah was just for your money to come back. So because
I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for a gambling of 100% to come back. I'm looking for a result.
Right.
And I want the result to be guaranteed, but not my money.
Okay.
If the result guaranteed, I will say, listen, you are not paying me until I get the result.
Got it. So could if you were to operate on me, could I ask you for a full money back guarantee or no? I'm just kidding.
You cannot even ask for a guarantee that you're gonna get better.
I'm totally teasing. I'm totally teasing.
I know. So I give Jemimah a 9.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys. So quick wrap up. I know we've gone long. Allison, how was this experience? And, you know, if folks said, hey, like, what's that thing that David's talking about? Should we go on it? What say you?
This was great. I mean, I was definitely nervous. I am very appreciative to be connected with all these other badass people. I hope I'm allowed to say that.
Of course. NFM bad A, yes, of course.
Yeah, my mug that I was trying to conceal. But yeah, I very much appreciate the feedback. Jacqueline, you were super fun to role play with. Really good experience overall. I highly encourage anyone who wants to work on their sales reps to do this for sure.
Hey, and love to have you back. So we have influence offs for the people that rocked it, and both you and Jemimah have rocked this thing. So I think we have some men that might be slightly overconfident and need to get whacked upside the head by some of your bad A. So you're welcome back at any point. So fantastic job. All right. And how about Jemimah? How about yourself?
Yeah, this is incredible. I learned very little about this, and I think Allison didn't either. I think we just was like, I trust you implicitly. Sure, Dave, let's do this. So it was really, and it was fantastic to see other women who are killing it as well. And watching Allison sell was absolutely so fun because it's something we never really get to see is other people's processes and getting real-time feedback from people who are absolutely experts in this, and hearing different sides of the coin, like hearing from Dr. Dan, like this is not something I would particularly like. That's a really interesting way of doing it. You know, listening to sort of just everyone's feedback was incredible. I've written so many notes, and it particularly just with Claire and about the semantics was also really interesting around how language is so important, and just little things that we just take for granted. So amazing experience. And look, I think Alice and I would be happy to take some boys down. We're in.
Well,
we're already chatting about starting a business in the chat.
Yeah, I think we should do sales. I was going to suggest we get a dating agency and get Fernando out dating, but
that is amazing. We have so much to talk about. That is amazing. Thank you. Yeah, beautiful. Claire, how about yourself? Judging, what would you say?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would learn as much by judging as I would by doing. I think it's a great exercise, and semantics are so important to me. I know they aren't to lots of people, but those little tiny things can throw me off. So I'm always going to be really particular about the words, and I love sort of hearing what triggers me when I'm being sold and remembering those things and being able to.
Amazing. And Claire, what we're doing going forward is we're really curating like lots of episodes of this, multiple a day, curating amazing people. So people from a sales background, an Allison fitness background, top level trial attorneys from television, accountants, like all folks that engage and influence in different ways and different levels, and curating these people together. And so you've been a beautiful part of the advancement of this cause, and thank you very much.
Thank you. That's fun. Thanks, David Gonzalez.
Thanks, David Gonzalez. Sheila, how about yourself? What say you? How was your experience, and what would you say?
I loved it because we need to have perspective and feedback, and to be able to see how everybody's doing their sales process, because we're always kind of selling, even in a relationship. To build a relationship, you're like, you know, you need to kind of sell yourself in a way to build relationships, to get to know people. And there's so many triggers with the old sales way and learning the new sales. And I just finished this whole sales course and training for a group of people that'll be selling things for me. And I've never really thought about it, but I always naturally connect like that, more emotionally. And I think, I don't know if that's a feminine thing or masculine or what, but it was just like, because I had to make the sales as a kid growing up and having to.
It's 1:30.
So I loved that. We need feedback, and what an incredible peer group. I really appreciated being here, Sean. Thank you.
Extraordinary. Thank you so much, Sheila. And we like to say that it's a goddess energy thing is the energy of connection that men and women can have, and Zeus energy is the energy of decision, which we all need to have as well. So thank you. Dr. Dan, quick wrap up. I know it's been long, and thank you all again. Final, what would you say to any of your doctor brethren about whether they should come on and judge this?
Oh, definitely. This is something that we lack a lot. I mean, we are not good sellers. I mean, we cannot sell this stuff. We usually tell patients what they should do, and they poor beings. They say, yes, you expert, whatever you say. So no, I mean, I think that definitely this is a essential skill for anybody, including doctors. In anything, we need to be aware of this skills. I mean, being a judge is much easier to be judged. So I appreciate every single one of the contestants. They did a great job. I'm definitely, if I'm that chairs right there, I will probably not going to be as pleasant as comforting these two ladies are.
Well, you're welcome.
I really appreciate that.
We'll put you in that chair. Thank you so much. Sheila, Dr. Dan, Claire, thank you so much for judging. Jacqueline, Vivian, Fernando, and certainly Allison and Jemimah for your vulnerability, your time, your energy from tomorrow in Australia to today in the US and Texas. Thank you. Love you all. Have a beautiful day.